Hello and welcome to another Mystic Monday, and today is the first day of March, and I'm super excited because I feel that March is going to be an amazing a month. Is going to be much better, definitely, compared to January and February. March is going to be, I think, a little bit lighter. It's going to feel a little bit lighter for everyone. So hello, everyone. I'm going to check the chat because I have a very special guest here today, and I'm super excited for all of you to meet her. Hello, hello. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Kim, Jenny. Hi, everyone, for being here. I have Carolyn Molnar with us today. I'm super honored and very excited that she agreed to come to Mystic Monday Live. As you already know, we did a long interview with Carolyn, and we talked about spiritual topics, and we just talked about everything that we've been talking about Mystic Monday, but went a little bit more deep. Carolyn Molnar is a psychic medium, a renowned psychic medium and spiritual teacher from Canada, and she has 40 years of experience in mediumship. So I'm in awe. I think she is an incredible human being. I was just telling her before we went live that she has a very calming energy. I love her energy. Really I feel like I'm more balanced when I talk to her. Yeah, me, this crazy person. And I'm super excited that she's here because we're going to be talking together, and she's going to be answering your questions. Any questions that you have, you can post them down in the chat or you can call in. But mind you, there is a little disclaimer here. We're not doing any live readings today, okay? We're just answering questions. We're just having a discussion. We're having an open discussion about psychic development. We might even talk about seances and dive a little bit more deeper into that topic. I know that was something that was really piqued everyone's interest from the interview that we did a couple of weeks ago. So I'm very excited to bring her on and to start the show.
Oh, there I am.
Oh, hi. Sorry, that happens with StreamYard. But you seem so calm, and I'm like, okay, it's not embarrassing to put her on now. No. Good. Hi, Dana. I see Dana's here. Hello, everyone. Jenny's saying, another fellow Canadian. She's from Canada, and I actually think she's from London as well, Jenny. So you're practically neighbors.
Yes, we are in a Canadian kind of way. We're a very big country, so London is in our back doorstep.
All right. Okay. Yeah, it is a big country, Canada, but let's just say that you're neighbors.
Okay.
Jenny's saying, welcome to Mystic Mondays, Carolyn. We're so happy to see you. I told you they're all super excited that you're here, and I am as well. Let me see if everyone. Kim says, hey, everyone. And yeah, I hope I'm not. Oh, yeah. And Dana says, welcome again, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So, and Kim also. I want to show you Kim's. Thanks for being here, Carolyn. We're all very thankful and grateful and very honored to have you here today.
Well, it's such a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Right. Shall we jump right into it then? So we're talking about psychic development. And since you're teaching mediumship, I think you're the perfect person to actually give people some tips on how they can exercise this psychic muscle that we all have. Because we've discussed this. We've said all psychics and mediums say we're all psychic. And, psychic, as I said, means soul in Greek, psyche. And so we all have a soul. Therefore, we can all use this muscle, this spiritual muscle, let's just say, to really communicate with the other side and with our guides and even with our spiritual self and higher self. Do you want to start talking a little bit? I think let's touch upon the clairs first, because that's the most important thing to start with.
Before I describe them, I'm finding we have feedback. I hope it's not from my end. Forgive me. But
I don't hear it from my end.
Great. Spirit will work with your strongest sense. So if you had an active imagination, they will work with a certain clair over something else. If you were a very sensitive person, they will work with that. So let's get started. So the clairs, there are several of them I have to go through. Clairvoyance is clear seeing. It means that your third eye is active. Usually those with active imaginations have this sense developed first. It's like having moving pictures in your head. You can see things through your active imagination. The next one is clairaudient, which is where you hear. Now, there's two kinds of clairaudience. There's clairaudient direct, where you actually hear the spirit person outside of yourself. I've only had that happen to me twice, where somebody said hi to me, and it was definitely not my voice. Clairaudient indirect is when you hear things in your head. Your thoughts are in your head, and they're not your thoughts. They remind you of someone, or there's a certain flavor to the thought where you can, it's from your spirit guides, and that's you've got to get used to knowing your spirit guides to recognize where that's coming from. There's also clairaudience direct as well. Clairaudient.
Sorry, Carolyn. I think there is a little bit of a flag with your microphone. Maybe just move the microphone. We had that issue last time. Move it a little bit away from the camera.
Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yes, and it's much better.
Okay, wonderful. So there's also clairvoyance direct, which means you see an apparition. It's outside of yourself. I explain clairvoyance indirect. There's also clairsentience, which is when you feel something. You may go into a room and think, something happened here. I just feel like there was a fight or something, or you are with somebody and you can feel that they're sad, but they're not showing it. You just feel it. Spirit will also touch you. So they'll use that gift to get in touch with you. I had my finger pricked once by a spirit who was diabetic. And so I knew for sure that was a diabetic sign. There's also clairolfaction, which is to smell things. Like you may smell perfume, or you may smell cooking, or anything that is a signature of the spirit person. There's clairgustance, which is you actually taste things. So I know what when it's cancer in a message, because I can actually taste the flavor of chemotherapy. There's also something called claircognizance. And when you actually know it without any kind of logic. I just know this is what it is. And that's just like a sense, like it's all of it put together. So as I say, you are directed by, I'm telling you, there's so much feedback here, and I don't know what this is. I must be spirit.
Mondays. I told you, Mondays goes the activity and the electronics go crazy. It's like a trap.
And we're out of Mercury retrograde, so
true. So there's no excuse now. We know it's spirit.
So I'll tell you, one of the pitfalls with my students is if one gift is given or developed that's not the same as another student, they'll say, well, I'm only getting this and I'm only getting it this way. And that's really not fair to the spirit world, because they're working very, very hard to get the gift that's easiest for you to develop. Once you develop that gift, then the other ones will fall in line. And I'll have to say, I don't have all of them yet. I'm still working on a couple. So
I was going to ask you, which ones are the most prominent of the clairs?
For me, clairvoyance. It was my very first one. Yeah. My first reading was a cartoon. So I could actually see a cartoon and give the message as I'm seeing it. And then clairsentience came after that. The one I'm having difficulty with is clairaudience, because clairaudiences, psychics and mediums are the ones that get the names, because they can hear the names. whereas a clairvoyant would see the name, and I'm not sure spirit really wants to put up a sign with their name on it. So,
Neon
I'm still
sign,
working on it. Yeah, I'm still working on it, and it's you'll never get there. It's the journey that counts. It's not the destination.
It's very interesting because I started off clairvoyant, sort of like, so when I do readings, I see images but at the same time, I'm clairaudience because I hear things, but not outside, as you said, not coming externally, inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that. It took me years to realize that it's not my thoughts, that's my psychic ability or mediumship or whatever. It took me a while, and now it's just, you can't go wrong when you listen to the messages.
And as you say, it can be happening at the same time. So they will use whatever they can to get the message. So it's just how you're wired.
True. And regarding the names, I agree with you. I mean, it's not easy. You see, let's say, what's his name? Oh God, I had a brain freeze. John, you have a similar style with him. Very famous medium. John Edwards. Sorry, I just had a little brain freeze. And you see that, they're very good. For instance, they say, oh, your father is here. His name is Tom. And, your grandmother was Rose, whatever. And I always had a hard time. Like, I was always like very close to the name, but never pinpointing the name. And I have to say, and I have to admit that recently I did a reading without using tarot. Usually, as I told you last time, I use tarot to open up, right? Just to say I'm ready to receive the messages, and then I don't go via the traditional route with tarot. And the thing is, I had a client, and spirit came through, and we didn't do tarot at all, and I even got the names right and everything, and I was just so shocked. I was like, I cannot believe, that I got.
Please do believe.
At that moment, I was trying not to show I was just trying not to show how surprised I was about it. But I'm definitely going to work on it more now. And now that I know that I'm able to even pick up names.
Well, let's do it this way. Be open to it and let them work on it for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to force it on them. I never do. I just allow things to come. Even in reading.
When you force it, that's where disappointment comes in.
True. Yeah, I agree. That's when disappointment comes through. You don't get the right messages. You read them the wrong way. It can go wrong. I know. By the way, have you had any, I know we're just off topic, but have you had any readings, consultations where you just drew a blank?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a story, it was just recent actually, where I was in the washroom brushing my teeth, and I had this vision of John Edward. I'd seen him on TV. He was with Oprah. And he had 4 people to read, and one of which he could not read. And he said, this happens every once in a while. There's just no connection. And I didn't think, that's interesting. Okay. So anyway, I then had my first reading, and that's exactly what I got. Nothing. Just like him. Yeah. And there's several things that could happen. One is the person is so driven to get information the way they want it. So they're closed. Their expectations are so high that you just can't reach that. Or that's not the way spirit wants to go, and they'll just wait until that's over. And usually it isn't. Or, you've met people in the flesh and you just don't connect with them. There's nothing to say. You don't want to share anything with them. It's just not a person you want to hang around with. Well, it happens energetically between medium and client. And the only saving grace I had is that I can read for people. This is an anomaly. Because the new people that go through this can really be thrown by it because they think it's their problem. In an actual fact, it's not. Yeah,
you have to have faith in the whole process. That's what I find, because I've not very often, but I've also had someone who asked me, I lost my father, I would like to connect. and I was really trying to connect with her dad. Nothing. I could feel him. I could see him. He was in the room, but he was literally far away. He was just refusing to come forward. And
sometimes that's about the personality. The first thing I would ask the client was your father shy? Would he kind of stand back and just watch the world go by? Oftentimes, if you click into why they're doing what they're doing, they'll come forward because it's like, oh, she gets me.
yeah, so that you're absolutely right. Because sometimes I have, not very often, but like it takes a long time for them to come forward. So it takes them like they're taking steps forward, and then as soon as they're usually right behind me, I feel them right behind me, and then when I know they're behind me, I know that they're ready to communicate. But it's usually towards the end, and
they have to get used to you. They may be shy. So ask your client. Your father, he's making me feel like he's shy, or he stands back and watches the world go by. Does this make sense to you? And then it could be when the client says yes, it could be he'll just scooch right over. She gets me. Okay, we can talk. I trust her.
That's true. Trust. And then I find that once they trust me, they're like really, I can feel their energy around me. They like to linger after the reading. So I have to like clear my space and ask them to leave. But and then I just feel that then they'll pop in a few days after the reading. It's almost like
they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. I know. No. I don't let them.
No. Well, what I do is I've said to my spirit guides that when the reading's over, it's over. I'm not open to any new bits of information. It's done. It needs to be said in the time that has been scheduled, and then I got to get on with my life.
I agree. I'm getting there. I'm getting better at being more assertive with spirits. Good. But okay. I'm not doing great, but I'm getting there. Definitely.
You know what? It's the journey. It's a journey, and just learning about these things, because I wish there was a school like Hogwarts that you could learn about this and know what you need to do in order to take care of self and take care of spirit. But what I've said to my students is, yes, you're reading for the client, but you work for spirit. You don't work for the client.
That is so true. You're absolutely right. That's wise words, actually. Let me just go through the chat a little bit, because I think I've missed a couple of questions. Okay. I know. Okay. Clairaudience is my strongest, I think. So Jenny, a little background about Jenny. I met Jenny through another channel where I do readings, and I do every Tuesday. We do a video and a live, and Jenny came to me for reading because she had a very traumatic experience. She was 8 months pregnant, if I'm not mistaken, when her husband died of a heart attack right in front of her at home.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
That was very traumatic.
Oh yes.
So that happened a little over a year ago, right, Jenny? I think, or is it less than a year? I'm sorry, Jenny, my head is all over the place. Long story short, we did a reading, and her husband came through, and her husband had an amazing energy. He just came through very crystal clear to me. I described him to her, his mannerisms, everything was just amazing. And what we discovered during this reading and a reading after that we did with Jenny is that she is highly intuitive, and she's just going through her spiritual awakening.
Well, that's great, because then she can be in touch with her husband easily, Jenny
has to call in if she wants to. Sorry, she's a bit sick today, but she said she doesn't want to come on. But it would be interesting to tell you as well how that connection, because she's now connecting with him.
Wonderful. Well, continue on. As long as it's of the highest, the purest, and the best, absolutely.
So, Wind Whisper says you need to have good control over your own mind before diving in.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Paranormal Witch Pixies here. Hi. It's all right if you're late. We still have a lot to talk about, so stay tuned. I'm just going to bring up Dana, one of our soul sisters and panelists. Sorry, Dana, that was too fast. I'm sorry. I keep
You
doing
look
that.
gorgeous. No worries.
She does. She does. And speaking of therapists, Dana has also a channel where she helps people by talking about she's not a therapist. She doesn't consult people on YouTube, but what she does is she touches upon those topics that, like, how does COVID affect people, or on Valentine's Day, she did a show about,
Drama.
Drama and what it's like to be single during COVID, and what the dating game is like now and how it's going to change. But Dana, did you want to ask something or add something to the discussion?
I'm technically a therapist, but I refuse to practice online.
Yeah.
I've been out of the loop of doing family practice and private therapy for a few years because I have 2 children, but I had a handicapped son, and I was doing hands-on, and he passed away a few years ago.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So I decided to do advice and topics and commentary online. So that's kind of my range right now. But I just feel like, first of all, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And I do know, being spiritual myself and having gifts kind of come and go, my gifts are kind of like an as-needed thing I have found.
Mm-hmm.
I had a near-death experience at age 12. And as the years went on, and especially having a special needs son that couldn't speak, certain things opened up on an as-needed basis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody's wired differently. If it works for you, go with the flow. Just do that, for sure.
I mean, I started seeing people from the other side little, especially after the near death. And
Yeah, you know what? There is a correlation between near death and having your psychic abilities bumped up or your mediumship bumped up. There is a correlation between the two. Yes.
It's like the volume got cut up.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I wasn't sure what to do with it.
Sure.
So I was telling Natalie, at that time, I didn't have internet. So I went to the library and got a book. My mom was like, because they played the pass out game with me. Bigger girls did. And they squoze all the breath out of me.
Oh, goodness.
My heart stopped. And so I had the near death. Anyway, I go to the library and get a book because there was nobody to tell me what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know for sure I had one because I could see my family in different places, what they were doing, where my mom was, my dad, my brothers. And then I, went further. Mm-hmm. It's too long to go into. Mm-hmm. So I got this book called Life After Life.
Okay.
That had been older and on the shelf by Raymond Mood. Mm-hmm. And we lived in North Carolina.
I heard your accent. I was wondering where you sounded like you're from the South.
I'm in Georgia now, though.
Oh, even more so.
So fast forward years later, and I'm at the university, and my field is psych, and I go into a master's program, and the class said staff. You know how that goes. Sometimes they don't know who's going to be teaching the class. And I walk in, and it's Raymond Mood and Bill Roll.
Perfect.
You know William Roll?
I know Raymond Mood. I haven't heard of the other.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Well, William Roll was one of the head guys of parapsychology. He studied parapsychology. And he was one of the guys that was over in Duke and stuff. And we all know who Raymond Mood was, right? But this was about the brain and some of these psych things that go on with near-death experience. And he had a bunch of older people that had NDEs in a class. Long story short, that was just odd to me. I ended up in a class with him after that happening as a little girl and reading the book. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it just proved to me everything is sort of mapped out.
Yeah. There's a lot of synchronicities in our lives, for sure. Yes.
And just like you said, as you are ready,
The teacher appears.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as we have been talking about, if you are not in a right headspace, if your mental health is not where it should be, if your life is full of chaos itself, you're asking for trouble.
Yes, you
Correct?
are. Absolutely. Yes. You need to get a balanced life. Yes, absolutely.
And it's just scary. And I
Well, I've
always
had a couple of students that were going through the class situation, and it got to a point where there was imbalance, and I had to ask them to find help because it was not only disruptive to the class, but very disruptive to them. So it
Right.
does not match. You need to be very calm, cool, and collected, balanced, in a good space, strong.
Correct. And if you are that particular person that wants to study, let's say that you don't have the extra gifts yet. And I've had people that want to study and try to develop more. Correct, Dana. Want to study and develop more abilities, but they're not necessarily in the right headspace, or they just aren't prepared, or they're in a negative brain space. Aren't they inviting more negative energy in?
Yeah, they're not ready for class. They're not ready. They've got to do their self work. A lot of this psychic work, people don't realize how much self work has to go along with it.
Thank you.
Whether it's years of therapy or self awareness or taking care of self, boundaries, all of that stuff adds up to a much stronger psychic or medium. And it's imperative. And I'll tell you this, Spirit will put you on those paths. They will get you to the places you need. So don't go kicking and screaming away from it because everything else will fall away. It goes hand in hand. You've got to be self-aware to be a really good psychic medium.
I mean, I even talked to my daughter about, don't try to jump to the easy spot because you're just doing yourself harm and others.
Right. Exactly. The easy spot for me would be pulling out a Ouija board.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, not good. I mean, you can get to the spirit world, but what's the level of the spirit world and what's all the stuff that goes on with it? You open a portal that you have no idea what you're getting involved with. Find yourself a good teacher, stay in the light, be positive, take care of self.
And she asked me, well, Mom, my friend has a blanket with a picture of a Ouija board on it. What about that?
No.
I don't even like saying the word. I don't even like saying it. I feel like it's just anything that has to do with that, stay away.
Who even developed that? That's what I'm like. What's the history?
Well, it was, I'm not sure the history, but it was Milton Bradley, that company that first put it out.
Yeah.
And I don't know the origins of it, but I do know that there are people that with spirit boards that they've actually created themselves. That's different. The intention is good, and they use it for the good. But when it's a game, not good.
And kids and people haven't developed their spiritual
They have no idea what they're getting themselves into. And it could be lifelong.
I've got a good question for you. Okay. What about people that use those spirit boxes?
Oh, Michael, that was my question, Dana. You're in my head. I was just about to ask that. What is your opinion about spirit boxes?
What do you mean by spirit box?
They will create these boxes, and some have studied using parapsychological abilities or using gifts. And they will develop these boxes that try to connect with the other side, and the voices or the spirits will use the electricity to talk through the box like a radio signal.
Okay.
Or like tampered radio transmitters.
Yeah, radio frequencies.
Scan really fast radio stations for it to be in a frequency where spirit can come through.
Yeah, I do believe that is spirit. They play with electronics, and you can, like, the digital recorders are another thing that pick up spirit voice. So it's the frequency of the device that the spirit uses in order to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
negative.
Yeah, negative energy feeds off negative. Yep, absolutely. Hmm.
I agree. That's why I put it up, because it's absolutely true. And we have to be absolutely aware of that.
Yes.
That's why we always have to be, I tell everyone, be kind, be loving, be good, share that feeling, share your kindness, share your love, because what you put out there is going to come back right back at you.
Yes.
And your intentions behind that kindness, you can't just act kind and the intentions behind it not be real.
No, that's the worst. That is the worst. It will come back on you tenfold. So how you treat others will come back on you. It's called karma.
You know, I have seen, and I know it to be true. I haven't been able to catch it often, or at all, not at all like I would like to. Let's put it that way. I've seen tinges, but not enough to prove it. But there have been some mothers in particular that have used those. You know how people will use those filters, like on Snapchat and stuff, and it'll say, "Try with a friend." And a lot of people will do it with their kids, where they'll put the dog face on, and you have to have a face to do it. Some mothers in like a grief support group I was in have been able to catch what they feel like is their child in those filters, because they'll go to take a picture of themselves with the filter on, and it'll catch a face beside them.
Yeah, again, it's the same kind of thing with electronics. You can get a lot with phone cameras. When we went from film cameras to electronics, like a phone or a camera, electronic camera, it opened everything up for us to be able to see the spirit world, because that frequency, that vibration, they can match.
Yeah.
I've got Kim on the line, so I'll just bring Kim. I hope you're ready. I'm not going to do that to you as well. Like, just pop.
Yeah. When she
Hi,
said,
Kim.
I was like,
Yeah, you were like glasses off, like, ooh.
Well, I took my house coat off already. I cannot get warm today, and made sure I had my glasses so I could see. Then I sat back down. Hey, everybody.
hello.
Hi. Do you have any questions for Carolyn?
I got one for Carolyn, and you'll understand it. Carolyn, I was in the hospital a couple of months ago, and I was in there for over a week. I was really, really sick. And there were times that I did not know if I was in this world, the spirit world, if I was awake, if I was asleep. I was so detached from reality that I couldn't even operate my cell phone. And of course, we could have no visitors because of COVID. So I was in there by myself. And the nurse came in, and my husband had called. She put the phone up there, and I told him, leave me alone and don't worry. The white lady is here with me. And she was standing there glowing. And that's all. And I couldn't make sense. He hung up on me and told me good night, hung up, didn't think I was making sense, called it medication. Also, during that time, I don't know if I was awake, if I was asleep, if I was in the spirit world, if I was in this world. I have no clue. All I know is that this female, no face, no age, I can't tell you anything about her except her name is Mill. And she came up to me and grabbed my arm and told me she was sad. And I started praying for her, and I associated it with something else, someone else. But she's still coming to me. She will still wake me up in the middle, and I hear her, I feel her. And then I'm an empath too, so I experience her. And she is a very sad person, but it's a conditional sadness, I feel, that has to do with something within the family. And she keeps telling me she's sad. I don't know what to do with that.
Okay, so it sounds to me as though there's a need for a rescue medium, and what they do is they can come to you, or they can do it from their home. It doesn't matter, where they will guide that individual into the light. That
Okay.
that spirit form is in between, and they need to go home.
Yeah, I sense that.
And what we call it is rescue mediumship. The best way for you to find those kinds of mediums, that's not me, is through your, like a spiritual center, or, you know, a new age store or something. They may know of somebody.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's just it, and she's gotten more frequent with it. So
Sure. Well, she realizes that you can see her, so she is going to be more frequent with you. And I really think it would be in her best interest as well as your own to find somebody that can help her into the light. I did a rescue. It was in my book, Compassionate Messenger. It was a little boy who had lost his shoe. And he had been sick that day. He told me his story. He had been sick that day, and I guess he passed away. His mother was a maid in that home, and she had brought him to the house because she couldn't afford to have anybody look after him. And if the people who owned the place knew it, she would be fired. So he was hidden in this little closet, not in a bad way, but just like, take care of yourself. You know, I'll be with you as soon as I'm finished my work. Well, anyways, he passed away. And years later, his mom passed away. So I just called in his mother and said, please come and, you know, come here. Please know that your son is here. And his name was Tommy. And he said, I can't go see my mom. She's going to be so mad. I lost my shoe. And I said, it doesn't matter, sweetie. They didn't have a lot of money. That's why he was so upset. I said, it doesn't matter, sweetie. Just go look, there's your mom. And he left. It was in one of my friends' homes, and she said after that happened, she didn't have that little guy around anymore. So it can be done. It's not something I do. I did it for my friend, you know?
Yeah.
it's gotten to where I shut out the spirit world for my own personal reasons for so long, and then when my mom passed this last August, I started becoming open to it again, and once again I'm seeing the spirits or angels, and I can hear them outside of myself. Like I was talking to my older sister the other day, and it just slipped out, and I said, I sure wish Mom and Grandma could see me now and see that I'm okay. And as soon as I said that, my mama was standing right beside me. She said, well, I'm standing right here. And it was her voice, it was her intonation, it was her. And I thought, yeah, you are. I shouldn't have said. She was the one playing with your computer.
Well, everything's
She,
fine
she
now.
flashed in with everybody real quick, and then came over here. She does that to us a lot on Mondays.
She does. She does. And she did it a lot after I had a reading with Kim, because she was like here where I could, like, she was dressed like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, and I said, why is your mom dressed like Dorothy? She's like, she loved the Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, okay, that explains it. Jenny's asking, Carolyn, do you have any tips for developing the class? And that was one of my questions too.
Okay,
Mine
so
too.
here's what I have to say about that. Just do your work. There is no you can't force it. It just happens on its own. The more that you use it, the stronger it gets, and then you will develop the next one that's the next easiest for you. So that's the best way to do it, is just to keep working. And also, the other thing too that I want to mention is be aware. So, say for instance, you're a clairaudient first. Listen to the voices that you're getting, and if they're uplifting, helpful. Like for instance, I was driving once, and I was in a certain lane, and Spirit said, "Get out of the lane," and I just made a really quick move to the next lane. And what happened was, there was an accident, and I would have been in it otherwise.
Wow.
So if it's uplifting, it's helpful, it's kind, you will strengthen your clairaudience because you're following it. Moms especially can do this because, you know, I will sense my kids and then give them a call or get in touch with them. So I'm strengthening my clairsentience that way. So put into practice what you receive if it's uplifting, kind, and to your benefit. If it's the highest, the purest, and the best, then you'll feel good about following it.
Haven't
Go
you
ahead,
found
Dana.
too, when the message is like direct with no extra fluffy words, that
Those are your guides.
trust is coming from above, right?
Those are your guides. They don't have fluff. They have no human emotion. They're
No
not
adjectives.
human. They will just be direct, like directives. Yeah.
Like, do this now.
No filter.
No. Or like, I can remember coming back from college one day. I take the same route every day, every day, every day. And I could hear, take this route today. It was like the country route where the cows were. And I was like, what? Go this way today. And I just did. And I did find out there was a massive wreck in the other way.
I've heard that too. My sister is very psychic as well, and she just had this weird feeling. I said, you know what? Not going out for dinner tonight. Just doesn't feel right. And there was a car accident on the road where she was going to be. So she had a near miss there.
I had one as well. It was with a plane crash. I was supposed to be on a plane that crashed, and that morning I just woke up. I was a child. I was 9 years old, 10, and I was supposed to fly out with my grandmother to visit family. And I said to my grandma, I don't want to go. She's like, what do you mean you don't want to go? We're flying out like in 5 hours. What do you mean you don't want to go? You were so excited. I don't want to go. I have a bad feeling. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I feel sick. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. We didn't go in the end. My grandmother, thank God, she didn't like pressure me. She's like, okay, I respect that. We'll find another flight. Think about it. And then the plane crashed.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean,
not thank God it crashed.
No, I know, but thank God that, but you know, it was just, I don't know. And I have to say that I have this since then, when I dream about plane crashes, which I do, usually there is a plane crash. So I dreamt about the Egypt flight a few years ago. There was one survivor. If you remember that, there was one just off of Egypt Air, crashed in the middle of the Atlantic, or in the Atlantic somewhere. There was one survivor. I dreamt that the night before. And many more. And even the 9/11, I dreamt of that as well the day before. So I think
I have to say, I'm hearing somebody wants me to talk about seances.
Yes, let's talk about seances. I'm
just being bugged by it, so I think I need to speak.
Let's go for it, because that was the next topic. I agree. So, by the way, everyone, Carolyn has brought her trumpet. It's there, so she's going to show us. And can you explain, just in case some people who are watching this video, this live, haven't seen our interview, can you talk about seances and your experience?
Well, I've gone to seances. I will not say that I conducted many. The seances I went to were physical seances, so it meant that spirit would manifest. We would have trumpets flying around the room, drumsticks playing. The trance medium would be lifted up off the floor in his chair while he was strapped in with the ties and be brought back down. I actually have, if you can see here, this was actually something, I should show it to you, that I got at a seance as well. These were the straps. Can you see?
Oh, wow. That's so fascinating.
They were looped together during a seance, and it was a wedding gift. So that was from a Canadian spirit named Walter. He kind of has a thing for women and loves Canadians. So I guess I matched that. But I bought this trumpet in Lilydale. Let me collapse it first so I show you how. It's aluminum. Oops. And it's in 3 parts. It has a large end, and then it moves this way. So it's about, 3.5 feet. And on either end is phosphorescent paint, because these kinds of seances need to be done in the dark because of the ectoplasm that's used from the trance medium to lift the trumpet and move it. So what happens is the voice will come through the end, and you'll recognize the voice. It's the spirit person's voice. I've used it I've used it in my class with my advanced mediums, and we put it on a table, a coffee table in the middle of the circle. And what we got out of it was, out of the small end, we started seeing smoke coming out. That's because I'm not developed. My friend, who's a physical medium, he worked at it for 27 years before he got anything. I don't have that kind of time. Seances are, I'll tell you another one too. My parents are both very much into this. My mother's family used to have seances in her home, and she wasn't allowed to go to them because she was only 16. But our prime minister was a spiritualist, and he had a medium. Her name was Jenny Wilder, and she was also the client for my grandmother. So Jenny would come over and have these seances in the dining room, where there'd be banging and clanging and noise and carrying on of an evening. And when my mother would get up the next day, there was stains of ectoplasm on the dining room chairs. So that was a complaint. But physical mediums are hard to find these days, because they are. There was so much fraud with this work that spirit actually changed course and went to mental mediumship, which are the clairs, where a medium or a psychic will just sit and talk and give the information that they're receiving without it being in the dark or anything like that. There's no pulleys, or there's no contraptions to make it look as though things are happening in the dark. And the reason why it had to be in the dark was because ectoplasm is affected by light, and ectoplasm is the life force. So if it goes back into the medium's body too quickly, because there's something has happened, like lights have gone on, or somebody has moved, or whatever, or there's been a loud sound, it will affect and maybe make the medium sick. But when I sat in the seance, they tried to have male, female all the way around the circle to blend the energy. That was very important. They had a certain tape that they would play, and it was a tape, it was a cassette tape of the same music every time. So it was like a trigger for the spirit world to know that it's time to be ready for the seance. So he would have a set group of people that would come in that would have various things that they would do. One was someone who was made.
Carolyn, maybe can you put your volume a little bit down, because we're having a lot of, as usual.
Yeah, and my I can't put my.
No, I don't think it must be the volume, or your microphone's picking up the volume from your computer, I think, and it's kind of like.
Okay, how's that? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I think it's better now. Yeah, sorry about that.
There was one fella. He was there to make light, to make people comfortable, so that they would be open to spirit. There was another that did all the waving around of trumpets and playing of drums and maracas and stuff like that. And then there was another that would bring the spirit world into the circle, so that people in the circle could meet with their loved ones. There was another one who was a doctor, and he was actually a doctor here and passed into spirit, and is now does healing through the circle. So each had their own specific job that they did.
Incredible.
Do you have any questions about that?
Hold on, let's see if anyone has any questions about. I'm just going to drop the link again. If anyone wants to call in, or just send someone in the meantime while we're waiting for questions. Midnight Rider, you called in. Do you want me to bring you up? But we're not doing any readings.
Okay, so the question is, but are pendulums real? Just want some insight. Okay, well, this is my insight. I can affect the outcome, so I don't use them. It doesn't mean everybody's like me, but if I want a yes answer, then I energetically can get the yes answer, even if it's no. So I think that you have to be really unattached to the outcome in order for it to work. I don't use them for that reason.
No, I don't use them
But
either.
they, you know what, they have their use. It's just, and some people, some people use divining rods and they're amazing. Have you ever done that?
Never, and I want to try, although I'm not like a big fan, but yeah, I would like to try them
They
out.
are cool. I made my own out of coat hangers.
Oh,
Yeah, and all you do is you hold them with their pipes, like
uh-huh.
metal pipes, and then the wire goes in the pipe.
Mhm.
And I can ask a question, and if they go out, it's yes, and if they cross, it's no. I went to a burial site in England with a diviner, and I said, could we use your rods to ask some questions? So she said, of course. So we went in and I said, there's a portal here. Can you please show me where? And it went, yes. And I said, could you please show us where it is? And it went this way. Like both of them went this way. So it was over there. And then I said, may I take a stone from this? No.
I
said,
have
if I'm
some.
outside, can I take a stone from around the area?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but not inside the burial. That meh. So, so
Interesting.
that's pretty cool too. I've seen people use those things, and they're just amazing.
I have some.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you use them, Dana?
I have used them, and you do have to be. Yeah, they work. But
I'll
I
give
mean,
it a go.
it's connected to your energy. I feel it's still connected to the unconscious psychic connection.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's connected to, as well as that, ley lines.
Oh,
It was
really?
also
If I
connected
brought you back
by
up.
water. That's how they first started. Remember the willow branches where they would bend down
Yeah.
when they pick up water. So there's a lot of natural stuff that goes along with it as well.
I did find our sewer with our what is it? Yeah, our sewer with it.
The divining rods.
Yeah, because nobody knew, because technically it's a very old house that someone built onto. So when we went to get the papers on it, it didn't show where it was. And we had to call somebody to clean it out, and nobody, they were digging everywhere around my house. And I found it with those.
Yep.
Crazy. After they had already dug everything up and ripped my deck up. I could have trusted it to start with.
Yes.
Right. So I have a question regarding, because we left psychic development. We went to, but it's fine. I love that. We have so much to talk about. But I have a question, because last time we spoke, Carolyn, you said, and I've heard this from many mediums, renowned mediums, that we will all end up communicating through telepathy.
Yes, we will.
I also believe it.
We're actually learning it now. The best example are mothers who know to be in touch with their children without any understanding, or you think of somebody and you get an email because you put your thought out to them. They've picked it up. They send an email, or they call, or the phone rings and you don't look at the caller ID and you think, oh, it's so-and-so. And sure enough, it is. And that's the practice of telepathy.
Fim and I have started doing it.
Yeah.
Lately.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, see, even when you asked that question before, Dana, it was like, it's almost like we're so in sync. Or when she starts writing me a message, at the same time, I'm in there writing her a message. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's telepathy.
It is. And I have that with my mom as well.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right, because my mom's psychic, and we don't need to call each other. We know exactly what's happening with each other's lives.
But
I've also heard of couples meditating together and getting into each other's meditations.
Wow.
When we pass over to the other side and we're out of this physical body, that's how we communicate anyway,
Yes.
period.
Well, have you ever had that experience where it's in a dream and somebody is standing there, their mouth isn't moving, but you understand what they're saying?
Yes.
That's telepathy.
That's telepathy. And people have to be more aware of this, because I don't think people realize that that's telepathy, and they can actually do it, or they have that ability. Because the other thing I was always a little bit worried about is with the advancements of technology, it's made us spiritually and practically more lazy. And I kind of feel that is also affecting our spirituality in a way, because once upon a time you had a phone that, you know, if someone wasn't home, you wouldn't be able to reach them. Before that, it was telegrams or whatever, you know, it was like, so I kind of like, how do you feel? Do you feel that maybe technology is going to forge us forward and help us become more telepathic? Or
I feel it's a challenge. Oh my goodness. That can't be.
Kim, can I drop you for a sec?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That was it.
I feel that the phones and all that kind of stuff are the challenge for us to stay telepathic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's a challenge because we've become more lazy as well, and everything is far more accessible. So instead of using our minds, the power of our minds, because our minds are so the most powerful tool that we have, and I fear that this is kind of going to delay us from reaching that point, because everyone, especially now, everyone's on Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I say, it's a challenge, and those who value this will get stronger. And what will happen is those who haven't kept up will look, hey, they've got something I wish I had, and then they'll be on the bandwagon too. It might be a little bit, you know, take more time and whatnot. But yes, we are telepathic beings. And I've seen this with mothers and children, the mothers who say, my child is not talking. You know, he's delayed. And I said, no, he's not. You're talking to him telepathically. He doesn't need to talk. You know what he wants. Make him use his words.
Dana had that with Noah, right?
Yeah.
Dana, you were communicating with Noah in that way.
All the time.
Yeah, but you needed to. These are the children that they're just not bothering because they don't need to.
Right. And, you know, like, look at remote viewing. Most of the world does not realize it has been going on for decades.
Yeah, God, more than that.
The government has been using it forever.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, because I am researching remote viewing, I find it fascinating. It started, I believe, in China. Russia got a hold of it, and the U.S. said, if they are doing it, we're going to do it. But I also heard, too, that China watches for the children that have the gift, and then they take them and put them in a special school to develop them. Mm-hmm.
But the smart children don't let them be aware that it's there.
Well, it's there. And here's the thing. We can remote view as well. All you have to do is think of your friend's house and look around and see if there's like something on a table, then give them a call and say, is there something on the table that looks like this? And then you've remote viewed.
But I mean, with remote viewing, all you have to do is focus on one target object. Yep. And then it takes you there.
Yep.
To see the rest.
So focus on a place.
But I'm saying, if you want to go to that place, I can say, I want to focus on an object I know that is in that house for a fact, and focus on that target object, and then it will take you to the rest of the house.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Or you could focus on the house as the target.
Yeah.
And then you're going through all the rooms. Yeah, I kind of freak people out because I say, okay, is your stairs to the left and it's going up and it's yellow and you know, there's the living room on the right, but the kitchen's in the back and it's hard to get to. And they're going, yes.
They're freaked out. They're like,
and you know what? That's also clairvoyance. I can see it in my head. I used to drive my sister nuts because she was not as clean and tidy as me. And I'd say, you need to get your kitchen cleaned up. And she goes, stop it.
but
you can have fun with it too.
I should do that to my daughter when she's older. I see what you're doing. Don't do that. Bad decision.
But it's very helpful in finding missing people and missing people.
Yeah, that's
Get
true.
me.
Here's the thing for me is takes so much out of me. I really commend those mediums who do this, but I just don't have that wherewithal. Being a mother myself and looking for lost children, it's just not something I wish to do. So hats off to those who want to do that.
No, Jenny.
Yeah.
Jenny says, do you have to have been there to be familiar with the object? No.
No,
Not
it
at
comes
all.
out of your active imagination. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I'm just going to go through the questions really quickly.
Sure.
To see if there are any questions. If anyone wants to ask anything else, Carolyn, because we'll be wrapping up soon because we're already over an hour and we don't want to be taking Carolyn's time as well.
I've got to get her book.
Tammy, we're going to talk about her books when we wrap up. Tammy's just given us a call. Tammy, you're up. Hi, Tammy.
Hey, good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning. Where are you calling from?
I am calling for right now. I'm calling from Orange County, California.
Okay. Okay. Lucky you.
Lucky you. I was going to say lucky
Right.
you.
It is. I do like to have, grass is always greener. Can I just say that? And we all understand those kinds of things. Grass always seems to be a little greener sometimes. I would love to be in my nice area where I don't have 100 people within, 150 feet of me because it's so congested at the beach and everybody's coming down here. So it has its good and bad. Give me a little peace and relaxation, right? So, ladies, I have had some wonderful advice from a medium. She's an astrologer as well. And I have had a couple of sessions with her, and she has mentioned to me, going through my whole journey of figuring out energetically where I am, I guess, so to speak, and she has mentioned that we're in a shift, and the shift of times that we're all our whole culture, and I'm probably not, you probably all could put it more articulately than I can, but I have been placed, and she believes that I am here to help people with that shift, and help people stay positive in this world, and don't allow negative spirits, just because of my energy. So have you all heard that, ladies? It looks like you were all shaking your heads. So
yeah.
Maybe you heard that.
Well, as a matter of fact, the pandemic is part of the shift. And the shift started actually in the 1950s, but it really didn't come to fruition until the 2000. We've gone from the Piscean era, which is war, to the Aquarian era, which is enlightenment. It will not finish really or transition completely, more like, till 2050. So just listen to the song. It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. You'll get the sense of where we're at.
And I have it in my head now.
Basically, what's happening right now is the dark is being exposed.
Yeah.
So you'll see that in politics. You'll see that in the vaccines. You'll see that in how people are managing the people who are just not wanting to focus on the good for all. Will just not have this space in times to come. And it's more about self-awareness and where we are in the world and enlightenment. Our spirituality will grow more in this time, and that will become far more important to things. Now, let me give you an example of this. What is the thing that you miss the most? And I'll answer it for myself. It's not the stuff. It's the meeting of people, because I am isolated. I can't leave my home. It's not that I'm sick. It's just where we are in our country.
Yes.
So it's not that I'm missing having a wonderful car or, jewelry or anything like that. It's like, I want to hug my kids. I want to see my friends. I haven't had a birthday with anybody. I had a COVID birthday last year, and I'm going to have another one this year. So it's like that's, I think, is what the shift is that we realize that the things don't matter so much as it does the connection to people, that we're all one. This pandemic has shown us it doesn't matter where it starts. It involves everybody, which makes us one. Some
And I think, and I also feel the gap is it's gonna widen. It's not gonna widen. It's gonna close. Right, this gap between like the super rich or celebrities or people who are more privileged to those who are not so privileged. I think that people already are starting to feel that we don't need these people. We don't need to
I'm
be
going
led.
to add to that. The super rich are now giving lots of money for food banks, for vaccines. Dolly Parton, I don't know what she did, but
I know,
I think it was $1 million for something. And, Tyler Perry has been doing great work. And, so it's like, it's not about the money. It's about how can I help others? That is the enlightenment, right? So
Yeah.
you know what? The rich will get richer and the poor may get poorer, but what are you going to do about it? What is it that you can do to make things work better from an enlightened place?
And for the collective, because it's all about the collective. Because
We're
together we are much more powerful and we can create and achieve things much better than individually and
Yes.
egotistically as well. And I also feel that. And this shift that Tammy's talking about, and I also discuss it with clients and people, that it's just what you're feeling right now. It's not you. It's what's happening around us. You either embrace.
Shift happens.
I want that shirt.
I
And
love
you know
that.
what? I didn't make it up. I stole it. So I'm just going to say that's not mine, but I'm sharing it.
I love it. We're going to merch it.
Have any of you seen that? It actually is a continuing video that has been made. Have you, any of you looked that up? Because I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or something.
What video?
It's called Shift Happens.
Oh, really?
It happened. The first time I saw it, I was at a robotics convention in Oklahoma. We in a big theater, and the gentleman who created this, it came up, and it's statistically just a bunch of slides and information showing, for example, at that period of time, this is how I'm going to be dated. Here it comes. It said that by the time if your child was if he was a sophomore of college, by the time he graduates, what he learned in his first year technology class would be outdated by his fourth year. And it goes through statistically all the craziness in this world. I encourage it helps put things in perspective, definitely. So
let me tell you what's scary, because I used to work in the technology industry and marketing, right? What's scary is how advanced AI is right now. Someone I know posted on social media an old photo of his grandfather, one of those like black and white scratch photos. He's moving, he's blinking, he's moving out. It's like, oh, wow. But how freaky at the same time, because it's one thing if you're doing spiritual work and you see spirits and this is my job, but at some point we end the circle and that's it. And it's another thing when you actually see the photo of your grandfather come to life. And it's scary because, again, there's a fine line between reality, what's real, what's not real, what's man-made, what's spiritual.
They're currently working on AI robots to work in hospitals so that they can take over when we have pandemics and stuff.
Goodness. Terminator is going to happen. I'm so afraid. If anybody hasn't seen that movie, it's certainly going to happen. This is crazy. Have you not seen the gentleman from Japan? He made us a duplicate of himself, and all sorts of, like Charles Bronson has went and spoken with it and sat, and he communicates it so he could be across the continent and be at two different places and have a meeting one place and be in another location. It's very scary, and it's happening. So thank goodness we have other people on the end that are for social behavior, social barriers around some of this, that people are trying to make some laws so we don't go over the line.
Exactly, because then it's a matter of morals as well. What is moral and what isn't? Where is the line? And this is a new territory we're going into. Technology, AI, what's called the what's wrong with my brain today? The holograms and stuff like that, which I don't know. I feel that, if humanity is not ready for this, spiritually ready as well, and there isn't that collective that we just spoke, this collective bond or this collective work that we all put in to improve our lives and to improve our world, then I fear that it might just go sour. It might just go take a bad turn. But we shall see, I guess. It's up to us. But more and more people are awakening. More and more people are about their spiritual awakening. They are not afraid of what's happening to them. They're not afraid to discover what else is out there that is not tangible. It's not. People are more open-minded now. Dana?
No,
I thought you were going to say something.
No, I did want to say something from earlier, though. Now that we think of it, I think of it. Wouldn't you say if people are trying to develop their tools or their gifts, that when they're in a group, that it's easier to do and it's easier to resonate or build that energy?
Yes. Well, what it is the blending of the group. So I've said to my students that you'll meditate better and easier within a group. And that's what it is that and here's the other thing too, talking about energy, that I say to my students, same time, same place every day, same time because you're making a date with your guides, same place because you're building up the energy and it becomes easier for you to connect, and every day for practice. So yeah, there's something about group energy that supports this work.
Yeah.
It's interesting in remote viewing, they say don't do it alone. You need to do it in a group.
Well,
that's what I was going to ask. Can that energy be obtained the same remotely as together, do you feel?
Yeah.
If you're tuned in, yeah. Yeah, it's like spirit. They transcend time and space. We're going to get to that as well with telepathy. Yeah. So if people are meditating all over the place at the same time, I mean, they've done this, and they just kind of blend their energy no matter where they are. It's a much more powerful experience. Yes.
I mean, just like distant healing.
Yes.
You can share that energy no matter where the person is.
Gina says in AA, it says if you complete the 12 steps, you will have a spiritual awakening. Mind you, most people get a spiritual awakening when they go through something which shakes their lives. They go through a major depression or major shift or mental shift.
Or illness. I said or illness.
Or illness or something traumatic, something huge. And that's the spiritual awakening. That's usually when they start to go inwards and start to discover themselves and who they are and where they belong and what is their path and why are they here? Why did they choose this life? That's when they start asking the right questions, because it's about asking the right questions to get the right answers, in my opinion. Right. I think we should slowly wrap it up, because we've been at it for an hour and 40 minutes, excuse me, but we still have a lot of things to talk about. So maybe, Carolyn, we can steal your time another time and you can come back. We would love that.
Sure, if you'll have me.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. We would love to have you. Absolutely. So we will definitely do this again. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tammy. I'm going to drop you now.
Thank you, ladies.
Calling. Nice to see you. Bye. I'll drop you too, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So before we go, before we say our goodbyes, I just want to remind everyone that Carolyn has written 3 books. The latest one, do you want to show them while we talk about, or you can talk about them a little bit and just say what each book is about. So the latest one.
The latest one is What You're a Medium. It was based on my 2016 Fringe Festival play. It talks about, my journey, as well as some of the pitfalls and learnings that you have for psychic development and mediumship. This is a story of that was based on a lot of the blogs that I've written. And this one was a channel book that I wrote in 11 weeks. And it's called Time, Knowledge from the Other Side. And a funny story about this is that it just flowed. It was fine. It was so easy, but I couldn't get the title. And I was standing at the sink and I went, what am I going to call it? And they went, It Is Time, Knowledge from the Other Side. I said, why didn't you tell me? He said, you didn't ask. You didn't ask.
See, it's about asking the right questions, always.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Please.
I was going to show you these as well.
Oh, yes. I was going to say the CD. These are your. Do you want to explain a little bit and how people can get a hold of your books? I'm going to link everything down below as well, anyways.
So the books and CDs are found on my website, and it's very simple. Just go to carolynmolnar.com, and you'll see books and CDs right on the front page. So there are 3 meditations per CD. You can either download or order the CD. And with the downloads, it can be single or it can be the entire CD. And one is called Strengthen the Light. One is called Manifest Your Destiny. And the other one is Meditations to Deepen Your Spirituality.
And if anyone wants to book a consultation with Carolyn, you can go to her website and you can follow the link there, or there's a form, if I'm not mistaken, where people can fill it out, and then she'll get right back to you. She's on top of it, everyone. So don't worry. And
I was an office administrator before I did this.
Really? So it comes naturally to you that you have to respond, because I'm the same as well. I have to respond. Mm-hmm. Like if there's an email, I can't just say, I'll do it later. I have to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit pathological, maybe. I don't know. On my side. And also, Carolyn teaches mediumship, but at the moment, her courses are full. Yes. So there aren't any available slots at the moment, but I believe around autumn time there might be.
Yes.
Right.
If you watch my newsletter, which you can subscribe on my website, August or September, I have 2 semesters, the fall and the spring. So I'm intending on the fall, and that'll be late summer that you'll hear about it.
Perfect. So sign up for the newsletter so you are up to date with Carolyn's news, and especially if you're interested in the mediumship courses, workshops, then sign up and you'll find out when there are available slots. Because if you don't sign up, you won't find out and you won't be able to get in. And as the French say, dommage. I had a Canadian thing in there. Sorry, I had to do my French a little bit.
It's okay, I get it.
But Carolyn, thank you so much for being here today. It was an absolute pleasure. I absolutely enjoy your company. I enjoy having you. I enjoy hearing you talking, and I know that everyone who's here today, they do as well. We had amazing feedback from the interview video that we did, so we're looking forward to having you back.
Me too. I'm going to count my days.
We love that. We'll be in touch anyways. So everyone, if you want to be in touch with Carolyn, again, you can go on her website. I'm going to link everything down below after this live, so you won't miss a beat. And thank you everyone for watching and for being here. Till next time. Bye everyone.